Okay. Hello, everybody. Today I have a special guest, and it is Phil Simha in Breathe for Peace. What is Breathe for Peace? Breathe for Peace is a kind of a instrument to float the social media with positive stuff and also get some information, get some ideas how to survive the COVID pandemic. And I'm very, very happy today to have my friend Phil Simha as a guest. And we do it in English. Also, Phil Simha understands every common language. I think Italian, French, Swiss German, German, and so on.
German is not a common language.
Yeah. And but as I'm not able to speak French, unfortunately, just a bit, oh mon Dieu, that's why we speak English. So his fans can benefit from this broadcast as well. So, Phil, who is Phil Simha?
Hi, Nick.
Hi, Phil.
Hi, everybody
Who
else.
is Phil Simha? Phil Simha is one of the best photographers in underwater photography. He's also, I think, since the start from Paddy, very, very fast became an instructor trainer in scuba diving. He traveled a lot in the past, not so much anymore, but he will probably tell us about it. He's also ambassador, I think, for Cressy, for SeaCamp, and so on. And we met each other in, I think, 2013 or 14. Yep. For the Dive Trophy, which is a competition for scuba divers, and he was the photo dude, and I was the apnea guy, and we were there to give tips and helped the people who take part in this competition, and also did some workshops and so on. It ended up that we decided to write a book, which is a bestseller. It is Apnea in Apnoe, Geheimnisse und so weiter in German. And it's also translated into French. And not to forget, it's also translated into Czech.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But Phil Simha is not only at home in the water. He's also, I think he has a education in music. He's a drummer. He is a climber. I think he also had a profession which took him to the Himalaya. And I think he's a guy who brought bungee jumping into Europe, or he contributed doing this. So, yeah. You can see there's a lot of things to talk about and a lot of things to change. And I'm very, very glad that Phil Simha, who is a very good friend of mine, today is with me in Breathe for Peace. Welcome, Phil Simha.
I'm very happy to be with you as well. And one day we could do the opposite, because there's so much to say about you as well. But, yeah. Everything started in the Red Sea, and I can perfectly remember that evening where we were having beer by the pool during the festival, and you came up to me and you said, you know, I think there's a good chemical thing going on between us, and I've been wanting to write a book for a long time, so maybe that's something we could do together. And yeah, here we are now a few years later, and doing lots of stuff together and sharing a lot, and very common philosophies in life and in what we do for work. So it's a real pleasure to benefit from your invitation and to be part of Breathe for Peace.
I remember that I was a bit shy. And I thought, shall I ask him? Because you were traveling a lot with Herbert Nitsch, so you were the photographer of Herbert, and for me, he's the best freediver. And I thought, oh my God, can I ask him? And I said, okay, I just ask him. He seems to be nice, and
I think it has to do with the fact that you are a very humble person, as well. And yeah, Herbert is working with Herbert was just something really, really amazing. And obviously, because we were working on his no limits freediving world record attempt back then in 2012 and 2013, we were living on the boat preparing for the record, and we were there like 4 weeks ahead of the D-Day, and I was also writing the blog and publishing the pictures, and I think there was like at some point like 500,000 people that were following the blog. So obviously it drew a huge audience, and thanks to Herbert, my work in photography and in this particular field, freediving photography, reached suddenly a much bigger audience. And yeah, I think even Umberto says Herbert is the greatest freediver of all time, and it was an amazing experience into human exploration. I think that's really where Herbert, made a huge difference. Is that he was always coming up with new ideas. He invented the neck weight. He invented the fluid goggles, and he was just breaking records in every discipline of freediving, which is totally uncommon because usually people are very specialized in one discipline or the other. But Herbert was just like Natalia Molchanova. He was breaking records in all the disciplines, and that was fairly unseen at the time. So yeah, I have a huge love and respect and profound recognition for everything that Herbert inspired me.
But because you were part of the world record attempt, for me, the question is, now you are very into freediving. So at that time, you were just a scuba diver and a photographer, famous photographer, especially also in the French-speaking area. But seeing this this record and seeing the accident did not stop you from getting fascinated by the sport.
No, actually, because I was born Greek and I spent a big part of my childhood by the Mediterranean Sea, it was very common for children to be in the water all day. And I remember I had this big knife, spearfishing knife I was very proud of as a kid. You could still have knives back then. It's not like the police would stop you on the beach if you were carrying a knife. and so we were spearfishing and hunting when we were children, so it somehow it's always been there, part of my life. But then growing up in Switzerland and different environments, and I was away from the sea for a long time. Then I got back to the sea through scuba diving, and then the year where we worked with Herbert, and in particular, as you mentioned, right after the accident, the first two people to call me and ask for news were Umberto Pelizzari and Guillaume Nery. And in particular, when it comes to Guillaume, I was extremely thankful because it was a very emotional time. We were talking to each other the night of the accident when we didn't really know how Herbert was going to cope with the consequences of the accident. And Guillaume was just an amazing ear, an amazing support. And it was pretty much, we had known each other for a few years and we had been following each other for a few years, but it was pretty much the beginning of a different level of relationship and the beginning of a deeper friendship. And that year, at the end of the year, we did, I actually invited him to Switzerland to do a freediving workshop for us. And that's how I got always more into freediving. And in scuba diving, I had done pretty much everything: scuba diving, technical diving, rebreather diving. At some point, it was just like in the mountain, always more gear to make more challenging stuff. And then suddenly, through working with these people, it was just like suddenly, oh, this is just like so minimalistic and it's just so nice, and just drop down the equipment and That's why I think that the name of it, free diving, really makes sense, because suddenly you're like, you're free. You can move whichever way you want. And I knew already from working with the whales or with the dolphins or the photographer, and in many situations, even as an underwater photographer, it can be a real advantage just to have no tank. You can go up and down as much as you want, and maybe not as long as you want. But yeah, so that all came pretty much together. And then I also started my school in Switzerland. And one of the reasons why I was interested in starting a school again was because I really felt that there was a huge potential for free diving. And in some places, Egypt or tropical locations, people were already getting into that market. But in Switzerland, not many people believed, hey, you can actually do something as a professional school in free diving.
And because this was really, really good to see. And when I visited you and took part in your training, and then I was really fascinated, how many people are taking part in the trainings, how many people took part in our freediving week. And so this started to become quite popular for you. And especially, I mean, all the big names were there. So you had all the big stars like Guillaume Nery has been there, I think, 2 times, and Alexey Molchanov and Umberto Pelizzari, Morgan. Who else has been?
Morgan Bourc, Alice Modelo. We had a great masterclass with Alice. It was girls only, and there was only Christian Maldame, who is also a world champion freediver, and myself, who were allowed to participate because we were doing all the logistics, which is 15 girls. It was absolutely delicious. We had Arthur Guérin-Boéry, who is just like you, a world record holder of swimming under the ice, who is currently preparing a new record, which will take place at the end of the month, I think. We had Remy Dubern, who is also a great friend and a world champion freediver. But one of the very first guests I had for my workshop at Lake Geneva was also someone who is a great inspiration to me, and who was one of my trainers, because I did my first instructor rating with him, and that's Nick Linder, who has also been a great inspiration when I got into it, and over all the years that followed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How many languages do you speak?
8.
8.
Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
Can you say something?
It's just a talent that I was born with. I owe it to my father. He was chief interpreter for the World Health Organization, who wasn't getting as bad publicity back then as it is today, but it was a great organization, part of the United Nations. And so he was a tremendous talent in language. And so within the DNA that I got from him and from my mom, who is also very talented in languages, I'm just really good at learning languages that I'm very bad at other things. So it's
okay. Can you say something in Swiss German?
Ja, was soll ich sagen, du? Hey, hallo zusammen und danke, dass ihr dabei seid, und freut mich immer auch, ein bisschen Schweizerdeutsch zu reden.
So I'm not sure if you know, but there is something new in the world. So maybe you don't see it from the top of the mountains where you live. We have something, it's called COVID. Do you know about it?
I may have heard about it. Yeah, there's a rumor going around that there's like a disease spreading that is killing the world, and yeah, I've heard about it. At first, when I said that there was, when I heard there's this big new thing, it's a threat for the world and for humanity and for life on Earth, I thought somebody got worried about the ecology, but actually no, it was just a virus. Yeah.
Okay, Phil, before we continue, the people have got the opportunity to donate something in case they like what they see, and they can also donate in case they don't like what they see. Something like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just open your wallet.
So we will have a look on the donation you suggested.
Yeah.
Just go to up. Where are we? Can you see everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wait. Sorry. I have to get rid of this. So, okay. So you decided to. Okay, now it's okay. To donate for the World Wildlife Fund. Why?
Yeah, you did good at that. It's not always easy to say. I say WWF. It's much easier. Okay, there's many reasons. There are lots of organizations out there for the protection of the environment. Social networks have driven a whole lot of people to create also different associations. I like the ones that have been around for a long time, and I particularly like the WWF because it's been with me since my childhood. It's a Swiss organization originally, and I remember even when I was a kid, when we were buying some products, we could get some special points, and when we had a certain number of points, we could order books with these points. And I was always ordering books that came from the WWF because I had a particular attraction for nature, and the World Wildlife Fund is not only dedicated to the protection of oceans, but they also look into the issues that have with freshwater to do, with the mountains, with the wildlife, with animals in general. So I feel that they represent more of a global approach to the issues of environmental threats. And because they have a website in English, I thought it makes sense as well, because then anyone can relate to it, instead of maybe focusing on some French-based organization, and then maybe some of the viewers would not be able to evaluate who they are willing to give millions of euros to.
What is your favorite animal? So in case you have the chance and say, okay, this animal will stay on this planet forever, no matter if it's endangered or not. What's your favorite animal?
Well, definitely, I think we all, or many of us ocean lovers, love the sharks, and they are very symbolic because they have been around for 400 million years. And we know that there's a huge massacre going on a permanent basis, and many species are gone and many species are endangered. And just like you, I was a few times at Tiger Beach. I'm going back to Tiger Beach in December. There are places where you can have amazing interactions, even with the biggest sharks, and it's a privilege to be able to interact with them. But they have a very basic behavior as an animal. Even though they have amazing capacity, their behavior is very basic. Yeah, eat, sleep, get cleaned, have sex, and basically that's the life of the shark. But if there is one animal I am particularly fond of, and you have been diving with them in Socorro as well, it's definitely the giant, the oceanic manta rays, Manta birostris, because I think besides marine mammals like whales and dolphins, the manta ray is the only one which allows a real interaction. And when you can actually put your both eyes into the one eye of a manta ray, because you can't really see both eyes when you're facing them. And in particular with the oceanic manta ray, you can just feel that there's a presence, that there is an intelligence, that there is curiosity, and you're actually really having an exchange and an interaction, which can be even a physical interaction, even if you're not physically touching, although in Socorro, they really like to have you scratch their belly, but lots of people are against that, so we shouldn't mention it. But oops, we did. And yeah, just the way you can keep looking into the eye of the manta and glide with the manta and spend time with it, and how it's going to be curious and coming to look at you. I think it's just the most majestic and the most amazing animal. Yeah.
You traveled a lot. You traveled a lot when you were full-time photographer. What was your favorite location? What was your favorite area where to go?
I have been blessed to be able to go and see the world, and except for the cold places like Antarctica, where I would really like still to go before everything melts down. I've loved many places for lots of different reasons, but I think to me the Maldives remain a very special place. Probably because it's such a particular destination, being just a land of small islands. Even if you go to other places or countries in the world like French Polynesia or Philippines or Indonesia, which are island systems, the Maldives really have this thing that it's just such small islands, and with the topography, you get these huge currents that are running through the passes. So you have an amazing underwater life there. You can find everything from microfauna to megafauna, extremely rich coral reefs as well. And one of the great things of the whole Maldives area is that there is no industrial fishing there. So it's really a place where essentially fishing is subsistence fishing for the local people, which I think is perfectly okay. And it's just, I've never ever been on a trip to the Maldives and not live a day without being like, oh wow, this is just so amazing. And there's always just amazing stuff happening in the water out there. So I think Maldives is top of my list.
Wonderful. And
then there's another place where we went together, which is closer from home, and which are the rivers of Ticino in southern Switzerland. I'm very fond of freshwater as well. There's lots of stuff to do in the freshwater. You're a freshwater a lot, and you publish stuff that you do in freshwater as well. And I think too often, in particular in this time yet, when we're talking about the issues with COVID management, lots of people just forget that, hey, there's water just back there. And just like you, I was, in the water a couple of days ago. It's kind of fresh water. We know the double meaning of fresh water, but it's very clear this time of the year. The temperature outside of the water is as you can see today, really nice. And so it's not really aggressive when you have to put on or remove the wetsuit. And yeah, the rivers of the Ticino just are also a very particular place for amazing visibility. And there it's not about the sea life, but it's just about gliding in these canyons and just enjoying the scenery. And yes, the picture that you just put up now from my website, the homepage is a picture taken in one of the rivers over there. Yeah.
I think it's one of the best things you could do in freshwater, and I was really happy to spend a day with you there. We did some photos and we wrote a very nice article for Unterwasser. That's a magazine in Germany that used to be on the market, not anymore.
Well, now it's called Tauchen, but it's same as before.
Yeah, we should do another article for them for river diving and Chaska. I think it's really nice, and especially as a free diver where you play with the current, where it's not too deep. It's so nice, and also to get to the dive site is easier without equipment than with all the gear. Yeah. Okay, we will put the link for support WWF, WWF, under the film, under the video. And now we are on your website, and this is the Phil Simha website, philsimha.com.
It seemed to be an easy name for it.
Yeah. Okay, and I think yeah, let's go back to the transformation from the scuba diver to the free diver. So what changed for you, and what changed in your life becoming a free diver? And if you compare yourself now with the Phil Simha 15 years ago.
The hair is the same. No, I need evolution in my life, so I like taking on new challenges and regularly getting into something new. And as a teacher, I think it's very important to keep on studying, getting into different disciplines, going to different teachers and being inspired by different people. And I had been a student of Tai Chi for many, many years, because I had been looking for something that that I could basically take with me everywhere, that didn't require tools, that was very minimalistic, and that included breathing as an essential part of the art. And so when I came more seriously into free diving, I have to say, being very humble, that when it comes to scuba diving or technical diving or rebreather diving, I always had great teachers, but it all came to me very easy, whereas free diving didn't. Free diving reminded me that some things can only be achieved if you dedicate proper time to it. If you invest time into training, if you invest time into discipline. And so I had left Tai Chi aside for many years. And so through freediving, I got back to breathing practices, mainly through yoga. I've studied yoga very intensely here in Switzerland, and also going to some places in India to study yoga, to study pranayamas, and became a teacher in these fields as well. And it's all very complementary to just think that we know, and we say it in our book, that there is no breath hold without breathing. So actually, I think one of the most important parts of growing as a free diver is to grow into breathing, and to make breathing a conscious part of your life. And yeah, I think that is definitely the biggest change for me when it comes to how it affected my life as a person. And then there is another thing which I think scuba diving had probably in the earlier stages in Europe or other places in the 80s, 90s maybe, but which kind of disappeared, is the more of a feeling of a community. Mm-hmm. When I came back to live in Europe in 2000, I still had a feeling of a community with scuba diving. I was working for Paddy Europe then, and I know when we were going to the trade shows and doing stuff, everything was cooperation, the different brands, organization, everyone was working together. And the idea is that we're moving the community together. And with the growth and the economics and the reality of life and the growth of marketing, generally speaking, everyone is kind of now looking at his own share of the pie instead of looking at how big the pie is. And I think in free diving, just like in climbing or maybe surfing, which is not something I do, I'm not into surfing, it's too difficult for me. But I think there is a strongest sense of community and sharing. And so we also grew a large club with lots of members. And so a big part of my social life is also linked to free diving now. And I didn't really feel that with scuba diving anymore.
Very good. Yeah, my impression as well. I mean, do you think the same could happen to freediving that to scuba diving, that it's getting just too big to be a community?
I don't think so, because essentially, I think one of the things that makes a big difference is that you can be 65 years old, overweight, smoking, drinking, and you can be a great scuba diver without any discipline. In freediving, if you want to stay in shape, or if you want to grow, and if you want to improve, then there's a necessity for training. In scuba diving, there used to be maybe training within clubs, organizations like VDSD in Germany, or the Simha in many places, but that has gone down a lot. Whereas in freediving, we have a need for a community because we train together as well. So most active freedivers will train once, twice, or more times in a week. And I think this is also something that bonds the community together. Plus the fact that we have this sacred rule that we are never alone in the water. So we always need to be with people. Whereas at the same time, if you're a very advanced scuba diver, it might be annoying for you to do the beginners part of a dive site. And when you're free diving, it doesn't really matter. I mean, a world champion can be training on the same site as someone who is a beginner, and it doesn't prevent both people to enjoy what they are doing and to have a deep inner experience, whether you're going to 50 meters or to 10 meters. So this is also a bond in the community. You can see how more experienced people are eager to help people with less experience and to see them grow. So no, I think we're going to be a community for forever. Yeah.
Good, positive, very nice. Okay, let's have a look on your website. So this picture we probably know from the backside of the book Apnoe.
Yeah.
What does it say?
This picture was taken in Mexico, in a very secret place in the northeast of Mexico, where I was with one of my greatest friends and mentor, Jim Bowden, who was a legend in technical diving and was at some point with a dive to 294 meters. He was for a long time the deepest scuba diver on Earth. And he was kind enough to take me to some of these secret spots in the northeast of Mexico. It's an area where you can't go for exploration anymore because the drug cartels are there, and it's too dangerous to just go there. But I'm very, very fond of this picture and all the souvenirs that go along with it. And it's fresh water.
Do you have a story to your strong pictures? So if you have a picture, do you remember? I mean, for this, of course, yeah. But other pictures, if you see the picture, do you remember the story behind it?
Yeah, definitely. I was reading this interview that our friend Florian Fischer from Behind the Mask did a couple of weeks ago, where he was answering questions in a very interesting way. And lots of people in the field of video say you absolutely need to have a storyboard, so you know what scenes and what you're going to shoot to build your story. And Florian is more like me. When I was traveling a lot for underwater photography, I was also writing articles for magazines, and very often people were asking me, so what are you going to write about? And I was always, well, I don't know. I will know once I have the pictures from the trip, you know. So I was never writing articles kind of like, oh, and we were in the Maldives and the beach was very white and the palm trees were very palmed and the huts were made out of bamboos. But I was always looking for the pictures to inspire a story to tell. And so, yeah, definitely with all the pictures, there is memories, and part of the memory is just the satisfaction of having taken a nice picture.
Yeah, very, very good. I mean, both of you, Phil and Florian, both of you, for me, you are the most creative people. And so maybe your way is the right way to get the pictures. I remember when I asked you for a statement for an article which will be released in March in the Tauchen, and it's about the expectations.
Yep.
Because some people have great expectations and then they are disappointed when they go, for example, somewhere to where they are supposed to see whales or they see whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I really liked your statement. Can you remember what you said?
I know you've asked me for that already a while ago, but I think it probably had to do with the fact that no one can guarantee or promise anything. And yes, okay, if I book a very expensive trip to Tiger Beach, I have a right to expect to see sharks, let's say at least sharks. And I think any reasonable tour operator can say, you know, I'll give you a sharks or refund guarantee if I take you to a place like that. But in most places and in most cases, you just have to allow for nature to decide what nature will grant you or not. There's no place in the world where you can really say, hey, this wild animal living in its own environment is going to be there just because you paid money for it. You bought an expensive camera to go and shoot that particular animal. And yeah, I think the saddest thing would be to look forward to a journey with the idea in mind that if you go there and you don't get to see this, then you've lost your time, your money, your energy, and that your journey was not worthwhile. Typical example for me was on a trip to the Maldives, in one of the early trips where the tour operator said, "Oh, we'll be able to see whale sharks at night," you know. So in order for that to work, you put up a big beam, a light beam at the back of the boat on the dive platform. You lighten the surface of the water at night. And because you're creating this light funnel and you heat up the water, then the zooplankton is going to gather under that light. And because the whale shark feeds on the zooplankton, you expect the whale shark to come up and feed on the zooplankton. So it's going to work maybe 5 times out of 10. Maybe I went up to having 7 whale sharks on the full midnight coming and dancing around the boat. But the very first time it didn't happen. And that was pretty much what I had planned for the magazine on that trip, you know, to be among the first people to publish this diving with the whale sharks at night thing. And didn't work out. But what did work out is that instead of using my huge camera with the fisheye lens and the huge port dome in front of it, I ended up taking a compact camera, and I was actually just shooting the plankton. And I had actually never seen zooplankton, you know, these tiny little shrimps, which can be just like under a centimeter, just maybe half a centimeter or smaller. And actually by playing with that camera, I got macro pictures of something that I'd never thought I would take a picture of, you know. So there's always something funny, interesting that can come out of you know, the unknown. And I think if every time we went out it did work out, then I think the sense of adventure would be totally gone. I mean, it would be the end of is this going to happen or not? And yeah, I mean, I think it would take away a big part of the excitement. So no expectations. In another time of my life, you could invest months of training, preparation, logistics to climb a mountain, and maybe the mountain didn't want you to climb it.
So this was your time in the Himalaya.
Yep.
So you were a tour guide there?
Yeah, I was guiding tours I had a company in Nepal, and we were doing all the classical stuff, but my specialty was to take groups to non-tourist areas and to unknown peaks for climbing. And I was spending seasons there in Nepal. You work in essentially in the spring and in the fall seasons. Winter is too harsh for many people. The summer is the monsoon time, and it's not really nice at low altitude to be in flooded rivers with leeches trying to suck your blood and all that. So I was very often using the winter season to go out and do some mountaineering stuff with a Nepalese friend, also one of my mentors and an inspiration. And we were just doing stuff, the two of us, in a very light style, and it was very adventurous. And many times it didn't work out because we wanted to stay alive.
And you know, I remember, I think your statement was something like, all you can expect is water and sand, and all the rest you have to be thankful for. Something like this, I think.
Yeah,
And I really liked it. Yeah. But on the other hand, guys like you, it's your fault that people have big expectations, because when they see your pictures, of course, they expect to get the same. Yeah?
It's in a way also always a conflict, because I had the chance to be invited many times to places that were pristine, and it was like, oh, we're the first to go there, or we're the first to visit that particular area, or we are doing the first liveaboard here, and it was always a conflict, as in, well, if we don't talk about it, it might remain pristine for a longer time, but that would be very naive at the same time. So that's why I always try to promote the awareness for the environment throughout my work as a photographer or as a writer. Just like when we did our first book together, it was very important to both of us, which is not a common part of freediving books, that the last chapter be dedicated to the lifestyle, and to always integrate the awareness of the environment in what we do. Because obviously we make people dream about places, but there is a responsibility that we all need to share when it comes to that. And many places in the world have seen with the COVID crisis, no travels, no tourists in the hotels, no pollution, no boats running around dive sites. Many places around the world are experiencing a rebirth, and the marine life is coming back in huge amounts, and it just shows that we have an impact. Yeah. But at the same time, because we are lucky enough that we get to go there and that we can inspire people through our work, I think there is a greater awareness within the diving community in general of the need to protect the oceans and the interconnection between life in the ocean and life on Earth. So I think even if more people go to some places, at the same time, the awareness is growing, and all these people who get to see the other side of the mirror can raise awareness with the people who maybe are not divers and don't realize that, hey, that's a very important part of life on Earth.
It's worth to save it, yes. Very good. Okay, just having a look on your website. So what is planned? You told me there are you have been with all the stars. So who is the next freediving world champion who will come?
We had a plan with Morgan in October last year to do a multi-day masterclass, which would have been really totally one day for beginners, just people who want to experience freediving but have the chance to discover freediving through a personality like Morgan, who is an amazing teacher. And then 2 days for people who are more maybe into competitive freediving, who are looking for ways to train and improve their results. And because Morgan is known as Mr. Perfect in the community, he has extremely thorough training plans, and he spends his life training. So he's a very charismatic person and a great inspiration. I want to do maybe this summer another girls only masterclass, and I'm thinking of a world record holder who happens to be married with a Swiss freediver, and I will not say her name yet because it's not. I haven't even discussed it yet, just because I'm holding back a little bit to see what the situation is going to be, if we can really, be a group of 12 people together or not, and how it's going to work out. But yeah, she recently broke a world record in constant weight freediving, and so I'm really thinking of inviting Alenka here for a masterclass, maybe a girls only masterclass again. It was a really good concept to have this girls only thing.
Yeah, very good, very good. And for all the levels, so every.
And then Nick Linder is coming in the summer.
Huh?
Nick Linder is coming in the summer.
Yeah. Our free. Do you want to tell? We do it together, huh?
Okay. What should we do? Like 1, 2, 3 together.
So, but you tell something about our freediving week. How often have we done the freediving week?
I think it's going to be the 7th edition. I think.
I think so. I think so too. Yeah. I think we had one just a weekend. I think that was the first.
The first, yeah.
And then we did the whole week in July.
Yeah, the very first workshop with you was totally focused on relaxing for freediving, because I think that's definitely one of your signatures, the breathing and meditation and relaxing side of things. And when we realized that we were made to do stuff together, and I think it came even before the first publication, the first book, we started this concept. We are very lucky to have where I have my school down in the valley over there by Lake Geneva. We have an amazing 50-meter swimming pool, which is right on the lake, with very big grassy areas where we can also do the most important part of freediving training, which is lying on the mat and just do nothing. And we have direct access to the lake in a swimmers protected area, and the lake is very steep where we are. So the great thing is that we can do everything at the same time. We can do deep water training, because 40 meters away from shore we have 40 meters depth and no boats, no issues with being threatened by boats or anything. We have the 50 meters pool where we can train for all the pool disciplines. The big park where we can do all the yoga and breathing exercises. And usually in the past years, we've had other instructors joining us as well, people whom you train as well. One of them is Fish, who is also from the area, from another club in Lausanne. The other one is Manu Mayer, who is also part of our gang and who also supports us in our writing project. We also had Birgit Standhartinger, the amazing lady who every time she does a personal best is having a cake, and she's doing personal best so regularly that I think she's only eating cakes currently. and yeah, so it's great because we can do groups and we can do like the yoga and pranayama parts of training every day together, and then we can split into different workshops. And some people come there to do all levels of training, from introduction to freediving instructor. And some people come there for different levels to grow into freediving. And some people just come because they enjoy being together. Again, it's the community thing. And we have a very special plus for the people who come from further away, is that we actually host them in the bed and breakfast, which is located
I know. But
just down the hall behind me,
Belvedere.
the Belvedere, with an amazing view on the mountains.
Ah.
And so it's just an amazing place for people who come from further away to stay during the freediving week, wake up in a stunning atmosphere, breathing the air of the mountains, looking at the wonderful landscape, and eating fresh local products that came, like you get cheese that came from the mountain, you get milk that came from the mountain, you get jam that was made by the lady who is the host of the bed and breakfast. So it just creates a very special atmosphere, and it's just total geil.
I love it. I really love it. The location, it reminds me on being at the Mediterranean Sea, because the lake is so big, and then you have this French people, and the good food and the relaxed lifestyle. And we always start with pranayama or yoga, and it's amazing to see how the people improve during this week. When you focus 1 week completely on freediving, it's really amazing. And I'm always happy to come back, because we have quite a lot of people who came there, I think, for the first time, and still come every year. It's
yeah,
really...
it's a we have a family, definitely a freediving week family. But at the same time, we never had. I mean, last summer, and we had shocked reactions on Facebook for that, or Instagram. I think we published a group picture from the freediving week where we were like 24 people at the one given day, and not even wearing dive masks. So, but I'm happy to report that months later, we were never a cluster for the illness. And I think one of the reasons for that is, even though the virus was going around in the summer probably more heavily than we knew, I think the fact that we're doing, that we're being outside, that we're doing breathing exercise, that we have a healthy lifestyle, and that what we share with each other is lots of love and not illnesses. I think this just explains why we can be so many people enjoying ourselves together, and no one, got sick or anything. So yeah, every year is just a highlight for me, definitely. And it shows that you don't have to travel far away to enjoy these great experiences. And lots of free divers who grew with us in that environment, because it's a more difficult environment, because we have the thermoclines, and because it makes equalizing at depth very difficult. They train with us. They get to 20 or 30 meters in the lake by working hard, training equalizing techniques, and then suddenly they go to a warm water location. And I know people who struggle to get to 10 or 15 meters in the lake because they had to go through 3 thermoclines and 20 degrees water temperature difference between 0 and 15 meters. And then they go to a blue water place, and they send me messages saying, what the fuck, I'm diving to 25 meters like it's nothing, So the lake is also a great learning thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Let's
it
have
helps people grow.
A last look on your website, because of course we have to see. Do you see the books?
Yeah.
Good. So this one is the French version of our book. This is the English version of Apnea and Meditation. This is Nery's book.
Yeah.
And
which also exists in English now, for people who don't know French. They can buy it from me.
Well. Is it this one?
Yep. Yeah.
That. And thanks to your good relationship to Guillaume, we have this wonderful foreword from him in our book, which is really, really nice.
You didn't know him that well at that time, but I remember he knew a little bit about you, but he was kind of like, yeah, but who is this guy you're writing the book with? And he had in mind some other freedivers kind of like, it's a guy like this guy, you know, I'm not really into writing a forward. And I was like, yeah, but you know me, and I wouldn't be hanging out with this guy. So I'm hanging out with the good guys. And in the meantime, you guys got to know each other, and you were even sharing a house during one of the boat shows, I think last year, maybe the year before as well. So now I know you guys are good friends as well, and there's also I know he was very happy to write the forward, and that you came to Paris when the book came out at the dive show last year. That was a really good time.
And I remember last year, the last boat show, when we were going to have dinner. So it was you, it was Guillaume Nery, it was Fred Bouil, and it was I think Benjamin from this what is it called? iBubble. And little Nick, and I thought, oh my God, all my dreams came true. Yeah. And I was too shy to take a photo.
I really loved that evening because I love the shows and the energy of the shows, but maybe at some point, and depending on how heavy the party was on Friday evening, you get to the last evening of the show, and it's always sad for me, kind of like to let go of the people and the common energy and everything. And I think early in that evening, you and I just looked at each other and said, "Oh, I'm so tired," and then we just decided to go for a pizza, and we apologized and gave big hugs to everyone. And Guillaume and other people saw that we were kind of like wiped out and just wanted to have a cool evening with no public relations and stuff like that. And I think we had barely finished our pizza that they were calling up and saying, "Where are you guys? We're going to join you for the pizza," you know. And then in particular, Fred and Guillaume, who have known each other for a very long time, they just started sharing all these behind the scenes stories of freediving competitions and things that the general public is not allowed to know about. Lots of things happening before social networks, so there was no, you know, sharing on Instagram, Facebook, or whatever. And I think my stomach was hurting from laughing at the end of that.
Might as well. Yeah. And it was really nice because all of you were speaking English, yeah. All of you are speaking French, yeah. But this evening, everybody talks English because Nick was there, could not understand another language.
Yeah, but at the same time, because we're on the dive show in Germany, then it's common for the French-speaking people to use English in Germany as well. So yeah.
So okay, here we have these wonderful books, and now we have here Apéricu Rapide Netipot.
Yeah.
So what is this?
Well, I know that in Breathe for Peace, you like also to share some tips or methods or ideas that are linked with breathing. And in the tradition of pranayama, we have also what we call the kriyas, which are all the purification exercises. And one of them is jala neti, which is actually the rinsing of the nose. So basically, and I know you've gone over this in previous Breathe for Peace sessions with other guests, but basically without awareness of breathing, we breathe 15 to 20 times a minute. Let's say an average of 15 times for a grown-up adult. And breathing is like a digestive system. They are part of the physiology that doesn't require us to think. A dolphin is different. A dolphin has to sleep only with one eye because you have to keep thinking about going back to the surface to breathe. Whereas for us, breathing is totally natural and we don't think of it. So one of the things that freediving, yoga, and pranayamas make us aware of is how we can work on our breathing, lower our breathing rate, focus more on breathing in the belly to be more relaxed, and all these things like Hanuman behind you in this very special illustration of yours, Hanuman meditating underwater. And one part of the purification process is to actually also clean the nostrils. And so cleaning the nostrils, we use something that is called the neti pot, which exists in different styles. Some are made in natural material, like this beautiful ceramic one with an symbol on it. Some are very convenient, very small and very convenient for traveling, like this little plastic one here, which I got in India. And some, which is actually definitely my favorite, are slightly bigger. And I had tried quite a few neti pots, but if you don't have one, because we want to share tricks that everyone can do at home, you can even do it with a teapot. It works with a teapot basically as well. But this one is really nice because it contains a big volume of water, which is sufficient to rinse both nostrils. And due to the size of it and the long pipe here, it has a really good flow. And so the flow into the nostril is powerful and gives a very good cleaning. So what we do basically with this one, now I'm going to just turn the camera just a little bit. Feels like I'm doing one of these tele shopping things on TV, you know, that you get to watch at 6 in the morning. I think they have these things where they're selling you stuff on TV. And
talking about tele shopping, I have to send you a photo later via WhatsApp. Funny one.
Okay. And so I've set up my little place for Jalaneti to be able to do this wonderful demonstration in the sun and with a nice background. So what you do is with this particular model of neti pot, you also get the little spoon, which is the perfect amount of salt that you should get into the neti pot. And so you take some salt. In this case, this is pink salt from the Himalayas. In India, they are very adamant that it should be pink salt from the Himalayas. I'm not too sure if it really has to be blessed by the Dalai Lama or not. In Europe, we have mineral salt as well. Many places, like close from my home in Switzerland, we have salt mines. So I think any kind of mineral salt will work. But if you're lucky enough to have the pink one, it's more romantic and it makes girls happy as well because it's pink. Oh, cliche, my God. And so you just put this into the neti pot. And in the neti pot, you have lukewarm water, tepid water. You just shake it a bit to help the salt dissolve into the pot. And then basically you're going to lean forward. You can do this in the bathroom, or you can do it even outside in the garden. And then you're going to pour the water through one nostril, about half of the neti pot. Then you're going to pour the other half through the other nostril. Then you're going to let it drop for a second. And then in the traditional practice, what we do then is that we blow the nose forcefully 5 times on each side, which you can do like Kapalabhati. You can do it using the abdomen muscles to do it. So 5 times each side. And then we go like half a circle doing 10 times each side. So I hope it's not going to get too noisy because I have the microphone right here. And I hope I'm not going to flood the microphone. So unless you have a question, I shall go to the demonstration.
Demonstration, please.
Okay. So you have to breathe through the mouth to make it more comfortable. Let drip one side. So after you've nicely emptied the pot, you just go 5 times. you can see some stuff coming out there. And then you can breathe the fresh air of the mountains and feel very fulfilled. Maybe you just need to blow your nose a little bit. And it's just amazing. So in the traditional practice, we do this every morning. I apologize for the glasses, but it has to do with the landscape. There's the sun just in front of me and my eyes are very sensitive. So feel better that way.
Good, good, good. So for people who don't know about the cleaning of the nose, what would you tell them? What is for you the biggest benefit?
Well, the nose is the natural breathing orgasm, and you can tell because you can see when people have a very forceful breathing, very often they're going like, and people who are in bad physical shape and stuff like that. So the nose being the breathing organ, it just makes totally sense to say, I want to keep it clean. It contains filters for the air. It contains humidifiers for the air as well. And so by having this routine, you can really keep your nose in good shape. And at the same time, because of the connection of the nose with all the other airways, sinuses, ears, the throat, having this routine allows you to just, I never ever have colds or flus or equalizing issues. Might happen sometimes when we are teaching very heavily and we have to do lots of dives in shallow waters, but otherwise I never have equalizing issues. And I even remember a friend who was about to get a sinus, a laser operation of the sinuses because they were always obstructed. And I offered her a Lotta, and I said, Lotta is the other name for the lid spot. And I said, try this for a few weeks. And she went on for 3 weeks with that, and then she canceled the operation. So it's definitely huge benefits for everyone. And because I keep hearing about this little virus, which might be transmitting through the air, and which basically can get into you through the nose, I can very well imagine that if I have a little thingy that comes into this little alien there that comes into my nose, just by doing Jalaneti on a regular basis, I'm just kicking the thing out of my system. And it's also a great prevention for all the illnesses that are linked with breathing.
Thanks a lot, Phil. Do you have anything else you would like to share?
No, I'm real happy that I was your guest today, and that you're doing this with the people. I would appreciate if people stand for the World Wildlife Fund. If they want to donate something because they feel like supporting nature is important. We're all saving a lot of money by not traveling, not going to the restaurants, not this, not that, not being able to go and spend money on shopping. So if you want to spend money in a clever way, you can support environmental organizations. And I think we're living in a strange time, and in this time, breathing should be an essential part of feeling peaceful. So the Breathe for Peace initiative is definitely a very good one, and very happy I got to support it.
Perfect last word. Thanks, Phil. And
thank you.
Really happy to see you in summer, and all the best.
And the same to you, Nick. Take care and keep breathing.